Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle for AfroExpats, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Chereese La-Vonne. We met recently online through some conversations we had about food. And we started talking about, like our heritage, and we're gonna do this whole Thanksgiving thing. By the way, I didn't follow back up with you on that. Yes, for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So we're planning to have like a kind of a Caribbean Thanksgiving here in Mexico. And she lives in Queretaro. She's doing some very interesting things, has a very interesting journey and story, which hasn't been the smoothest to Mexico. So, it's good to see, like, that sometimes it doesn't always come together exactly the way you want it to, but in the end, it does work out. So I'm really excited to speak to her and share her story with you all. Thank you again for being here. Make sure you subscribe, like, share my channel. I always have to remind myself to tell people to do that. I'm here to bring expat stories from people around Mexico. I personally live in San Miguel de Allende. Chereese lives in Querétaro, which is less than an hour away from me. So I'm looking forward to meeting in person next week over a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
So from that note, you take over and introduce yourself and tell everyone, where you're from.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for just your kindness in general.
You're welcome.
I've really felt like a lot of camaraderie with you just from our first conversation, which it's heartwarming. So my name is Chereese La-Vonne, and I live in Santiago de Querétaro, the historic center here. And well, it is quite a funny story about how I ended up in Mexico, funny / sad / happy. But I'm really, really grateful to be here. And based in Querétaro, I organize wellness retreats for people to come and experience Mexican culture, Mayan healing traditions, and also ultimately just reconnect with their soul energy.
Love it, love it. So tell us a little bit about, well, where you're from originally and kind of your journey and how you ended up. Wasn't necessarily a planned journey, but how your journey brought you to Querétaro.
Yes, so I'm from Jamaica originally, born and raised. I lived in Jamaica for the first 17 years of my life. Then I chose to complete high school in Trinidad and Tobago. I was there for 3 years. Then I went back to Jamaica for university where I studied architecture. So I am trained as an architectural designer. And the story to Mexico sort of started around 2018, más o menos, when I moved to Chicago. I moved to Chicago in 2018 to pursue a master's degree in designed objects. And so between 2018 and 2020, I was back and forth between Chicago and Jamaica quite a bit. My intention was always go to school in Chicago, get my degree, come back home, set up a furniture design studio, and just live the artist life in the hills. Like that was my whole plan.
Nice.
It was, yes. And I started that. At the start of 2020, I found my apartment in the hills. It was a space that I was starting to create my studio. And my studio at the time was focused on creating journals. So I designed a beautiful journal called the Chronicle Sketchbook Journal, which had wood covers that had beautiful laser cut designs. I made them all by hand, high quality paper. And the whole idea for these journals were to create space for your self-reflective thoughts.
I love that.
Yes, because I really do believe that self-reflection is one of the most important parts of how we go about life. We really have to take the time to reflect on ourselves, who we are, and also who we want to be.
Exactly.
So, yes. So from there, I know the story is a little bit long. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I was going to ask you about the hills. Like when you said the hills, you mean the hills back in Jamaica?
Mandeville, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Mandeville, Jamaica originally.
Okay.
And Mandeville, Jamaica is like cool, nice in the hills. When I went to school, I lived in the city in Kingston. And apart from being closer to people and things, I just missed that sort of more rural life. So once I was studying my master's degree, I had decided once I get back home, I'm going to set up in the hills. And it was a beautiful thing. It was actually, it was actually for me very encouraging to be like, okay, yes, I am now a person with a master's degree. I'm now getting my artist studio down. Perfect. So this book was actually quite a success, this journal that I created. I remember I had designed one. It was originally just a gift for a friend, and some other people saw it and wanted it. And then I ended up selling it. And the first month I sold 200 of these books.
Wow, that's awesome. Where did you, and what medium, or where did you sell them?
I just sell them online through a website that I built, or through like a forum. Yeah. So what happened with this was, based on that, I started thinking, okay, I can make a business out of this.
Right.
And this is where the storyline to to Mexico started. I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to Chicago because I was accepted into an entrepreneurial program called Founders Institute, which is a 4-month-long program to build your business, help you really understand the foundation, and ultimately to find seed funding or investment.
Okay.
And so in 2020, February, I left to Chicago just for 4 months.
Right.
Just
From Jamaica. From Jamaica.
From Jamaica. I went back to Chicago. I'm like, okay, this is my last stint in Chicago. I'm going to do this. And halfway through that program, of course, all of the pandemic started.
Okay.
And it was very interesting though, because also halfway through that program, I started to feel like it wasn't such a great fit for me. And the reason was, my business was really a lot about soul. You know, it really was about, what are the souls of the people I'm serving hoping to find in this product? And I found that the emphasis of the program was a lot more, you know, white capitalist focus. And it was just more like, go, go, go. And so it just wasn't quite sitting well with me. And I didn't want to quit because I didn't want to call myself a quitter. And also my parents at the time were supporting me with this venture. So it was like, oh, I can't quit. But COVID interrupted it in an unfortunate but slightly fortunate way. Because once COVID came, it became impossible to meet. And it also became acceptable for me to say, you know what, I'm going to take a break from this program. I don't think it's the right time. I don't think it's great for me. And so it was an easy exit. What happened with COVID though, and the pandemic, was I got stuck in Chicago. Jamaica was locked. I had been staying with, you know, distant relatives, but I had at this point overstayed my welcome. I needed somewhere to go. I had not many places to go. And so it was honestly a moment of like, what F do I do right now? Like that was really,
exactly.
That was really like, it was everything. There was no home to go back to. Unfortunately as well, during that time, so this is a part of my story that I think is very sensitive, but something that I do like to share. Around that time, one of the things that being in quarantine lockdown gave me was, it did give me a lot of time again for the self-reflection thing.
Right.
And I started to really, really tap into, on a much deeper level, this idea of intuition, because I could no longer rely on what was outside, right? Like I had to find this inner place within. And one of the things that came up for me was, I wasn't satisfied with the way that I was living my life. I actually identify as a queer Black woman. In Jamaica, that's something that's really taboo.
I know, girl.
It is really, really taboo.
Right.
And so it became important to me, you know, I said to myself, if the world is ending, because really that's what it felt like.
Right.
If the world is ending, I want to make sure I'm living as my most authentic self.
Yeah.
And so I made a choice to come out to my family. Unfortunately, that choice meant that I ruptured my family relationship because they were not able to really accept me or accept it. And so that happened in the middle of the pandemic. So I'm on top of just the confusion of, where do I go? Where do I stay? How do I make money? What am I going to do? I also had to deal with feeling very unsupported by my family during that time.
And vulnerable at the same time. And also in a position of just, like you said, like, how do I survive right now? You know, what do I do? How do I survive? And, you know, my comment, in case people didn't quite get the, oh, I know, girl, is because I'm also Jamaican. And as a culture goes, you know, they're not overly supportive of the non-traditional types of relationships. And it's very prominent, and unfortunately, in the culture where you know, artists sing about this and kind of
Mhm.
promote this lack of understanding and lack of
Right.
acceptance. So, you know, I say it because I've also been immersed in this thinking because, you know, of course I love reggae music. And sometimes I think we love the song and we love the beats and da da da, but we don't always really
Sometimes there's
maybe
some
take the
really
context, which sometimes is
great
very violent or
advice.
abrasive, you know? So I support you. I'm sorry that your family has not, you know, wrapped their arms around the situation, but I just wanted to clarify what I meant by that.
Yeah,
So go
thank
ahead.
you. Well, you know, I try to be fair, to be honest. And this is probably part of my problem. I don't know. I as well as dealing with the pain, I sometimes try to put myself in their shoes.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I have to move on with my life. So one of the things I do want to say publicly though is up until that moment, my parents were very supportive of me. Like I said, I was in Chicago
Mhm.
um, under for business ventures.
Mhm.
They had invested a certain amount of money to help me create these books. And
Mhm.
that became how I survived during the pandemic. I mean, I just sold, you know, like maybe 50 books total on Etsy. Not all were
Oh,
buying, it
okay.
was hard. But
Mhm.
that was kind of how I ended up surviving in the long run, but with a deeply broken heart.
Yeah.
And also, I made a decision as well to go no contact with my family because it felt very difficult for me to negotiate my own identity
Mhm.
as well as negotiate their aggression towards my identity.
Right.
It was just something I just decided I couldn't do. I couldn't be healthy towards myself at the same time while being in healthy relationship with them. So
Mhm.
I decided, okay, I had to make a decision. I really
Yeah.
did.
No, I
Um,
understand that. I mean, I feel like it's self-preservation,
yes,
especially with everything that, like you said, was going on at the time. I think
yes,
2020 for everyone, you know, I can't say most people, I would say everyone really just created this sense of reality is not what we know, or our norms are no longer what we know. And,
yes.
you know, yes, self-reflection is a necessity, you know, it's a
Yeah.
necessity. And being honest and being on another layer that's beneath the surface of who you are and
Mhm,
how things around you affect everything that you
mhm,
do, you know?
mhm. Yeah. So so almost there, almost to Mexico.
Right. No
So that
worries.
happened. Thankfully, I had a second cousin slash uncle who stepped in. He had an empty Airbnb property in Chicago, which
Mhm.
obviously wasn't being filled. And he said, Chereese, you can stay there for as long as you need to stay there. And
Mhm.
so I was there for a couple of months, the time that I should have returned to Jamaica, but
Mhm.
it was closed. Once Jamaica was open, um, my visa was also at the point of expiry, and I just knew I wanted to go to the US. You know, I didn't want to have an expired visa, but I really did not feel like I had any home to go home to in Jamaica based on everything that happened
Mhm.
with my family.
Mhm.
And so I made a decision to follow a partner to Mexico who had been living here. And
Mhm.
that's how I ended up in Mexico. Things with my partner didn't end up well. We broke up within a week, but
Here you are in Mexico.
but but on a deeper level, I really say, you know, I really do believe my soul wanted to be here. It's like it happened through a
Mhm.
lot of chaos. It
Mhm.
happened through a lot of pain. I would not have mentally. I did have it on my bucket list to live in a
Mhm.
Spanish speaking country for 6 months or
Mhm.
something. But
Mhm.
I would have, I don't know, waited until maybe I was 80 or something before I ever even thought about doing that.
Right, right.
But here I am at 30 moving, you know. It was originally just gonna be okay, I'm just gonna stay here, lay low until things blow over, until I feel happy to go back home. But honestly, like I said, my soul just loves it here. I've experienced a lot of healing here. I've experienced a deep sense of home here.
Mhm.
And part of
Mhm.
that has been really coming home to myself and coming
Mhm.
home to myself as
Mhm.
the ultimate guide and authority of my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, based on all of what has happened for me in Mexico, which is a whole many beautiful things, many
Mhm.
beautiful magical moments, and all of
Mhm.
I've learned about intuitive guidance and that kind of stuff. That's what became the retreats that I now offer. You know, the
Nice.
retreats really are just like a step by step following of my healing process in Mexico.
I love that. So why though Querétaro? Like, how did you kind of end up in Querétaro? Was it
This
just,
is
I heard
this is
about
where my
it?
partner was.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I
And
guess
then
I kind of
this
missed that
was,
part.
yeah, this is where my partner was. And then,
Mhm,
after things ended, I thought about leaving, but
mhm,
I had already had so much uncertainty. I mean, between 2020 and 2021, I
mhm.
moved location 12 times.
Wow.
Okay. So
Wow.
there was a lot of, listen, it was, and I was only living month by month. I didn't know where I was going next month. I didn't know if I had enough money. I didn't know if I was going to have food. When I was in the US, I had to live off of food banks. That's how I got through
Mhm.
COVID. Like I
Wow.
wasn't like, it wasn't like I was just,
Right.
happy.
Right.
So it was really month by month. So by the time that happened and I got here, I said, I'm going to just decide to stay. I'm just going to
Right.
decide to stay and give myself space to just rest,
Right.
because I'm
Rest,
tired.
heal, get settled. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I thank you for sharing that with us because, as I said earlier, before we started to record, a lot of times, we have all of the happy scenarios and
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes the frustrating scenarios, but again, with COVID, but also just having a lot of things probably fall in your lap
Yeah.
unexpectedly, and you still are in this place where you can tell like a version of a story that was a little bit of a struggle, but you're finding yourself, in addition to finding yourself, you are also feeling like, this is home, even if it's not home forever, but it is
Right.
home for now. And it's kind of like you said, this is where you felt like you were drawn to in some
Yeah.
capacities. And I think
Yeah.
that it's also important for people who are going through the whatever they're going through on a personal level that are watching this, that they can also see themselves in a situation where, okay, everything isn't perfect. I really want to get away. Here's a story that's not a blueberry muffin scenario.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And hopefully it's relatable from an emotional standpoint where sometimes we need that space to heal and to disconnect from things that may be the cause of whatever it is that's going on in our life in a negative way, or draining
Yeah.
energy out of you kind of way. And I'm glad that you were honest and comfortable to share that. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I also don't want to paint a picture of all, sunshine and roses. It's still
Right.
something I'm daily going through. It's still something I'm daily processing. The
Mhm.
choice to be disconnected from your family is a very disorienting one,
Mhm.
especially when it feels like you have to choose between your own well-being and relationship with people that you love or you want to be in love with. So it's a
Right.
very challenging thing for me.
Mhm.
um, but that being said, I still believe I live a beautifully magical life.
Mhm.
I really do trust my intuition. Like I said, I would have never chosen all of the things that got me here.
Right.
But having been here, I've found an understanding of myself and the way I fit into divinity that
Right.
has really been worth it. In Mexico, in Spanish, you say like vale la pena. It's like worth the pain. And
Mhm.
I think that's really what it is. It's worth the
Mhm.
pain I've been through,
Mhm.
and the pain I'm still processing is worth what I've found. It really
Mhm.
is.
That's beautiful. I love that. I just want to hug you. So here we go. I'm going to see you on Thursday. So
Yes,
this is
yes,
next week, Thursday. Yeah,
yes,
this is exciting.
yes.
Well, by the time this is out, it'll be after Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. But anyway, I just, so I'm going to give like a nice cherry part to the story, which is someone on one of the Queretaro groups mentioned, like where can they get Caribbean food and or soul food or anything that's, soul food related. And
Yes.
I made a comment that, hey, I'm planning on having somewhat of a Caribbean Thanksgiving at my place. Last year, I had an impromptu one. And this year, I really wasn't sure because it's a lot of work. And I already have a lot of other work to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I posted it out there and Chereese reached out and said, oh, can I, join you? I'll cook. And I said, the fact that she said, I'll cook, and she was like, I'm
Yes.
Jamaican born and raised. And I was like, yeah, man. And I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Yes.
And, that made me really excited because, I like to do the traditional stuff, but yeah, when you started listing escovitch fish and curries, and I'm like, I'll make oxtail, I was like, it is on. So
Yay.
that's kind of, yeah, that's our like initial connection was, basically through our heritage. And even though I wasn't born and raised in Jamaica, my parents are Jamaican, and I've been around this all my life. So it was really nice to connect with someone else, even Teresa, which you know her
Yes,
in
Teresa and I have
Mexico.
worked together in Queretaro as well. I'm
Right.
Jamaican.
Exactly. So I almost had Teresa come here as well, and us just do a whole three, people in the kitchen cooking some Caribbean
Yeah.
stuff. But that's pretty much our backstory. But I wanted to kind of segue into what you do or your retreats a little bit, but how you've kind of tied it into your training with architectural design.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think, one of the things I've always told people who ask me why I studied architecture. I studied architecture because for me, it's one of the most holistic areas of study when it comes to providing for the human entity. In architecture, we really do consider, if you think about a building isn't just housing our bodies, it's housing our emotions, it's housing our well-being, it's housing our mental state. And so through architecture, I got to explore exactly how our space, the space around us, the way a space is set up, the feng shui, the lighting, the airflow, how all of those dynamics come together to create well-being, a space that is possible for people to live well. And I also know that personally, I'm very sensitive to that. I'm very sensitive to the idea of space. I had a difficult time in Chicago because of how dark it got in the winter and how small the apartments were, and just things like that. It's like it affected me, and actually having that disruption of what I usually feel like in Jamaica made me even more aware of, okay, what is it about a sunny island that makes people feel a little bit more,
Alive.
well at ease as opposed to another location. And so with that and with architecture, it's really just more my eye, but also my intuitive knowing of how to create space for people. And so the business that I have, it's called Soul Mirror, and our tagline is space to reflect. And I really play with that word space. I am providing space, physical space, emotional space, mental space, psychological space, space within your body, cultural space. I'm creating space for you to be able to reflect on yourself, but also to reflect yourself back to the world. So that's the idea of what Soul Mirror is all about. And right now, our main focus is a retreat here in central Mexico in Queretaro. The next one I have coming up is called a Rhythm Reset Retreat, Rekindling Curiosity and Joy. It's happening in February 2022. And if anyone's interested, they can feel free to go to soulmirrorwellness.com and they'll find more.
Perfect. And it will also be in the description box, the links and everything else on how to sign up and get in touch with Chereese about it. But yeah, continue.
Thank you. And so that retreat, Rhythm Reset, again, the tagline for it is rekindling curiosity and joy. And it's really kind of retracing. When I got to Mexico, sí, ahora yo puedo hablar bien en español. I can talk well in Spanish now. But when I got to Mexico at first, it was like, I kind of remember some stuff from high school, don't really know that kind of thing. But there was a blessing to that because not being able to understand people's words, I had to tune into people's energies. And like I said, like really helped me move through intuitively. I actually have a beautiful story. In San Miguel de Allende, I was there with a friend and I was staying at their house. And one morning I woke up with a stomach ache and I was feeling like, oh my God, it was so horrible. I couldn't do anything with the family. And so I just had to stay in sick while everyone else went to explore the town. And at some point in the afternoon, I just felt, I need to go for a walk. I've never been to San Miguel de Allende. That was my first time. I just decided I'm going to go for a walk. So I told the family, hey, I'm just going to walk around the neighborhood. I'll be back. And I just walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and just walked. Like I didn't have any sense of direction. And I remember walking, turning into a location. It happened to be like a holistic store. I walked right into the store, right to a shelf that had activated charcoal. And I bought activated charcoal and I went back. And I didn't even know why I bought activated charcoal. Again, it was just, I was really just following this intuitive pull. And then I thought to myself, wait, isn't activated charcoal good for stomach aches? And I Googled it and it was, and I took it and I felt better. And it was like, that's one tiny example of how life has unfolded for me here in Mexico. And that's why I say the thing that I had to go through pain to discover was worth it, because I've discovered a power beyond myself, you know, and that came through allowing myself to be curious about things. And that came through also allowing myself to chase joy and focus on what feels good in this moment now. And so with this retreat, that's what I've curated. Some of the experiences that really, really sparked curiosity and joy in me. It includes Temazcal. It includes Temazcal, which I don't, you've experienced this before, the Mayan ceremony. It includes architectural tours. It includes an art workshop. It includes a nature outing, as well as yoga and breakfast. And it's really just this 1 week of allowing yourself, especially if you're not from Mexico originally, but even if you are, allowing yourself to be in this stage of curiosity and allowing the cultural and spiritual experiences to really ignite something in you again.
And resonate. So what's the rhythm portion? Like, is it the rhythm of life, the rhythm of,
that's exactly it. It's really about you finding your rhythm. So one of the things that I also say is there is enough space within the retreat for you to decide exactly how you want to use it. So I don't have a retreat that's chock filled with activities every hour of the day. The idea is, yes, there are things that I am offering you, but also that you get the opportunity during this time to really consider, how do I want to design my life, including with my remote working? Because I had 2 people here a month ago and they were remote working while doing it, including with remote working. How can I design my life in a way that I still am feeling this idea of joy and curiosity every day? Because what we want to create and what I have created for myself is a life that I don't need to retreat from. Right. So the idea with the retreat is finding your rhythm that you don't need to retreat from, that feels good. That's a good balance of work and play and whatever else you need. And now with the fact that everyone's working online, we have even more opportunity to really think more creatively about, how am I going to design my life for myself?
Absolutely. And I love that you said you don't have to take, retreat from your regular life, because, here's a way of experiencing that. And you're here in this space and you're now, this is your rhythm, and it makes more sense. And the journey was rocky and still is. However, I feel like the happiness and the end results are of your choice. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, okay, I got to do this and suffer through all of these other things just to have a little bit of like time to be reflective and happy. It's sort of like, okay, I went through that and I'm coming out of it on the other side. And it doesn't mean other things won't come up, because they will. But I'm coming out of it on the other side with kind of a strength, like a resolve that you can be okay, that you can make it. And, I just want to kind of like say this because I know a few folks that are trying to move here and, they're going through a lot of like personal things, or they're going through the phase of like, letting go. And I say letting go, like letting go of whatever that means to you. It's emotions, it's stuff that you are attached to, material things or whatever. I get it. Like I had a conversation with one of my really good subscribers who ended up booking a session with me. And, she was kind of explaining some of the things. She's ready, but, just kind of like that emotional side of, I have one foot 2 feet over here, but my entire being is over, wants to get there, you know, and it's like letting the go. And I was like, okay, you know, just give a few of these items that are, you know, precious to you, give it to a friend, give it to someone you really care about, you know, and you'll still have, they're still going to hold that, you know, space and that item for you in a manner that you would, you know, or something you can still, you know, see again, or it feels like, okay, someone's taking care of this for me. And I'm like, follow your gut, and your gut, whatever that is kind of like, I need this too. I need to be in my new chapter. I need to start my new chapter, you know, and that's okay. So I love your story. I think it's very inspiring for, you know, people that are going through things, and it's not smooth necessarily, wasn't, but here you are, and now you're creating like a whole new thing. When you were in Chicago, like, did you have the intention to have retreats, or did that sort of happen when you got
You
here?
know, let me tell you, this is the thing. I think even I'm thinking about the person you're referring to. I don't know them.
Mhm.
But one of the things I realize is, honestly, there's a level of healthy detachment that we have to go through life with,
Mhm.
because I believe the universe, God, the divine, knows what you want and wants to give you the desires of your heart.
Mhm.
You don't have to worry about the how, you just have
Right.
to follow the pulses. And so in terms of retreats, yes, in a way, but I never thought no. I mean, I'm just 30. I thought to myself, okay, when I get to 60/70, I'm going to have enough money. I'm going to purchase a property. I'm going to create a little healing in space for people to come. And that's how I'm going to live out the rest of my days, you know, meeting people, sharing goodness with them, that kind of thing. No plans for it anytime soon at this part of my life. But it's very interesting, because the more I'm moving, just following the impulses, I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, these are things I've been desiring since I was a child.
Right.
And I didn't even realize I was creating them. I didn't even realize that I was actually putting the steps towards doing it. Another thing that I'm starting, it's not fully launched yet, but I am starting intuitive coaching. And it's actually happened by accident. When I got here, again, I was so broken, I could barely work. I thought, okay, what can I do? I can teach English. I don't have to think about teaching English. Let me just teach English. So I went online and I found people to teach English to. And I'm actually really experienced as a public speaker and that kind of thing. So I started coaching public speaking to English speakers.
Nice.
One of the people who came to my retreat, one of my second retreat guests, was actually one of my students. And it ended up happening because our sessions somehow evolved into intuitive coaching. And so it was very interesting to me. This weekend, I started putting together the experience I've had of almost by accident intuitively coaching people, and recognizing that, you know, I really want to support people with getting in touch with their intuition. But also, as a designer, I have a lot of experience about how to create something, move something from your mind to materialization. So I also want to support people with the practical tools and the practical skills that I know about how to create things physically. And so I started putting that together in a program, which I'm hoping to launch early next year. And I looked at the program and I thought to myself, my goodness, when I was 18, I told myself, I want to help artists build businesses that work for them. I told myself that, you know, and look, I am now at the point of doing that. And it was just fascinating to me, where it's like this idea of letting go and letting flow. Like, honestly, like, God has your back. Like, honestly, just follow the impulses. There's no such thing as a mistake. There's no such thing as an error. Everything is a part of the process of growth and learning and moving more into the direction that you should be moving into.
Absolutely. And I don't know who needed to hear that today, but I know I did. You know, because of what we were talking about earlier. But, you know, I find, you know, strength in a lot of different things and moments. And I've gotten a lot of signs in these past couple days, like, you know, go for what you think. And even if you have a little bit of like nervous or anxiety around, that's normal. I feel like that's human nature to some degree, but it's like, okay, use that turn it into a plan, and then just let things happen, and what's going to be for you will be for you. So I definitely needed to hear that. I think you're amazing, and I love the concept of your retreats. So tell me a little bit about the one you had. What like kind of things did you guys do, or ladies do?
So yes, so it's the same retreat that I'm repeating. It happened in October 2021, and it's the Rhythm Reset retreat. How it works, it's a week long, and it starts with really just getting your heart and soul prepared for openness. So my guests arrive on a Saturday. On the Sunday, we go and do a Temazcal ceremony. For those of you who don't know what Temazcal is, it's like an intense spiritual version of a sauna.
Yes. And I'm glad you said sauna, because I feel like Temazcal just sounds so like, beautiful. And then people sometimes will say, well, what's a Temazcal? And then someone will say, oh, it's a sweat lodge. It doesn't sound good. It's like,
no.
But, there are different styles.
You do sweat.
You do sweat, and that's the intention, to bring about a lot of transformation. And the transformation is, that you do a ceremony. Typically, they're different. They're all conducted a little differently. But that there's like kind of a cleansing ceremony, an intention setting before you go in. And while you're in there, it's kind of like you're supposed to detox not just your body, but your mind, and all these different things that might be holding you back, whatever. So and there's way more to it. Like if you really wanted to dig into the history of the Temazcal, there's a lot out there. And I actually have enjoyed 2 of them so far since I've been here.
I really do appreciate them. They're beautiful to me. And the fact that it's relatively accessible is also a part of what makes Mexico beautiful to me. I feel like Mexico is really in touch with magic with the other, and like it's a part of the culture here. And that for me is really beautiful. So we do prepare our mind and body with this Temazcal ceremony on the Sunday. And then on the Monday, we start getting prepared for, the exploration of the week. We do exploration of our body with a yoga session with a beautiful Mixteca woman here as well. And then in the afternoon, we have an architectural tour of Santiago de Queretaro, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Our tour guide is a local architect who also has a lot of knowledge of the history of Queretaro. So it's an amazingly rich time. On Tuesday, we continue with our yoga sessions. We have breakfast together. Breakfast is included all through the day. And then Tuesday morning, we actually take part in a art workshop with a local ceramicist. And she has her beautiful apartment studio that's like corner apartment in the city, beautiful views while you're creating in the daylight your beautiful clay piece. And that's going to be ready for you to take home by the end of the week. On Wednesday, we move very, 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 very early to chase the sunrise at Mirador Cuatro Palos. I don't know if you've ever been.
But no, I don't think so. Is it in, where is it?
It's in Amealco, and it's like in the forest, in the bosque. And so we take like a little 20-minute hike up to the top of a hill where we're able to see the sunrise over this wonderful view of a mountain range. Absolutely magical. And it's something that's really breathtaking. And everyone who I've taken up there have said, Chereese, we really had to get up early in the morning, but this was definitely worth it.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I feel like
it is beautiful. You can join us.
I want to. That sounds really amazing. I actually saw that, and I'll let you continue with the rest of it, but just really quickly, Bernie posted something on the Queretaro Expat page this morning, and it was Pinal, I think, de Amoles. Have you heard of this? Yeah, I was just like, what? Like, where have all these places been hiding on me? There's so much to do here. And I just keep adding stuff. I literally was like 7 on my phone, like looking at everything.
I have a long list.
Oh my list is forever in my phone. And I added that. And I was just like, this looks like a perfect place to go for Christmas. They had snow, you guys. snow in the shot that she posted, and
Wow.
it just looked beautiful, and the views from the mountains. Oh, geez, I was like, man, Mexico's
I've
got.
never
Oh,
been. I've never been to Penal de Amoles, but I have heard of it, and I know it does look beautiful.
it does. But anyway, continue with your
Yes, no problem.
after the view, what
Yes,
happened?
and then after the view, we take a tour of Bernal, the
Mm,
little town of Bernal, which has, I think it's the largest monolithic rock in either this side of the world or the Northern Hemisphere or something like that. But there's supposedly this energy of the rock of Bernal.
yes, it's
Um,
beautiful.
it is beautiful. So we take a tour of Bernal and then we turn home and rest. For the rest of the week, it's a little bit slower paced. We do our yoga again on Thursday morning. In the afternoon on Thursday, we have a connection dinner. Friday is a personal day, and then Saturday, people are off again. So
Nice.
it's really a beautiful time together. But like I said, within the days,
Mhm.
there is enough space to at least get some work in, or if you want to journal, or if you want to do anything of that. And speaking of journaling, part of the gift package that I give actually does include the original journal with
Right.
which I'm making my business plan for the Chronicle journal. So you do get a journal, you get ritual items, incense, really just the little elements of how you can start creating your own ritual and rhythm in your life, right?
Right.
And that's the idea. When you go back home, you're taking this rhythm, this new rhythm that you are experimenting with, to wherever you come from.
I love that. And I love the whole journaling aspect of it. I think that that's something that I have just never really gotten myself in a good rhythm and flow. But when I do it, I feel great. Like,
Great.
for example, yesterday I started with another group with a 21-day meditation and abundance. And a part of it is journaling, writing specific things down on the specific days. And I was just like, this really helps to give you a lot of clarity on not just about what you should do, but just clarity. Like you're getting your thoughts, like you said, that whole thought to actual, you're taking it and you're putting it on paper. So I really think that's amazing. About the accommodations portion, like, is it included, or like, is that a part of it as well? Okay.
Yeah, so
That's good to know.
accommodation, what's included is accommodation, all of the tours that I've expressed, breakfast daily, as well as 2 connection dinners. So there's a dinner when you come where we connect with everyone with the group. The group is small, it's 5 to 10 people, depending on if people come as a pair or individually. And that's intentional because for me, it's really about, it's not just, hey, I'm just taking all the people all over the place. It's like really about connecting with yourself and with each other. So we have the 2 connection dinners. Then we also have the yoga that's included, 3 days, the tours that I mentioned. So all of that is included. The home that we stay in, the accommodations are beautiful. It's a renovated, over 100-year-old home right in the historic center, like right smack dab in the center. But it's been renovated with like modern features. So you really get this idea of the history, but you're also really living in comfort. So it's something that's beautiful. Everyone has their private room with a queen size bed. It includes a fridge. There is a shared kitchen area. So if you do want to create meals, you have that freedom, but the fridge is located in your room. There's a beautiful patio, which is where we do our yoga, where you can sit and have tea, where you can work, and also a lovely sitting area. So it's a really, really beautiful space.
I love it.
Yes, I wanted to also point out something. You mentioned your 21-day. You mentioned your 21-day challenge that you're doing now, and it actually reminded me that I do have a free ebook, which is called Intuition Kickstart: 21 Days Back to the Heart. And if anyone's interested in that, they can check it out on my website, soulmirrorwellness.com. But really, what I've done in that ebook is I've really tracked the process of what helped me in Chicago, what helped me really connect back to myself, which is what ultimately led me here to Mexico. And it's very funny. Sometimes it feels counterintuitive to slow down and be still. But one of the things that I learned during the pandemic was to really be very disciplined with slowing down and being still and being okay with the not knowing and being okay with the chaos. And so in that ebook, I've really just kind of told a little story about that, and also given a guide for how you can reconnect with your heart center over
Right.
20 days.
Right. No, I think that's fantastic. And again, things that everyone needs to hear, and me, is, it's okay to slow down. Like right now, I do feel a very large amount of just go, 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 go. And I remember yesterday saying, you know what? I just want to stop everything and I need to think about like what's really key right now and important, and not just like, trying, because I tend to be like, here's the list, I gotta do this and I gotta do that, and then sometimes you just have to withdraw and just
Yeah.
stop everything and say no to things and just stop and slow your mind. And that's kind of where I'm at. So thank you again for that tidbit, because I really just like,
It's very important. And
yeah.
that's exactly what I lay out in the ebook. The methodology is really, how can I quiet my mind enough
Mhm.
to really hear my intuition? And that's really
Absolutely.
daily practice. Quiet your mind so you can hear that still small voice that tells you what to do, that shows
Exactly.
you where to look, that brings
Exactly.
the right connections to you.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Oh, my friend, I'm gonna get to see you in a
Yes.
couple days, and
Yes.
it's going to be
I'm
a good
excited.
time, I'm sure. I don't have a plan, but yeah, I'm
It's gonna
looking
be fun.
forward to it. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to it. So I hope that you guys are gaining from this message and these messages, not just the experience, but also the experience that you can have through her eyes about the retreat, and what brought her to Querétaro. And I really want to just drop in there that one of the things that I've really realized for me with Mexico, and I think a lot of people can connect to this, is there's something about the energy in this country that's still tapped into probably a lot of the old traditions and
Oh, yes.
the culture, and just the earth
Yes,
here,
exactly.
the mountains here. Like it really still catches me off guard. I hope people can feel what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm just driving and then there's just this imaginary view
Mm,
that suddenly my reality, it's just like this beautiful like
mm,
mountain, and there's nothing on
mm,
it, it's just like the
mhm,
shadows from the sky and whatever. And I know I might sound like I'm talking about like some
mhm,
fantasy thing, but it's just suddenly hits me that these are the things that draw me to Mexico.
mhm.
And even this part of the world, I can say, I kind of had these feelings when I not lived, but I spent a lot of time in Ecuador and South America, where it feels old and it feels like you can connect to things of old.
Yeah.
And when I talk to people like yourself and other people who are doing these intuitive type intuition work,
Mhm.
where they want us to reflect, I feel like a part of that is pulled out of us because of where we are and the energy that we're surrounded
Yes,
by here in this
exactly,
country.
exactly.
Yeah. So if you're ever in a position and you're watching this and you just feel like, you know what, I just feel like I need to be grounded again, I really feel like this is a great place to do it. There are lots of amazing people like yourself, and, things I want to also do and offer in 2022. And there are just tons of
Mhm,
people doing really amazing, beautiful work for healing,
mhm.
self-reflection, just getting over
And being more
trauma and
intentional
family.
about the
Yeah,
life, more intentional about the life that you're creating, or better
exactly.
yet, co-creating with the universe and getting better at
Absolutely.
that partnership. I think that's what it
Right.
is.
And trusting in the fact that it can happen,
Mm-hmm.
not worrying about how, but trusting in the fact that there's something for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
can make it happen here. Sometimes I think it's hard for people to see, how can I make that happen? And this is why I try to bring personally as much as I can to the table from people who are doing it, whether, and I say everything is not, you know, planned or whatever, or by accident necessarily. I feel like there is a plan, but we may not always know it. And that was not our original thought process or our intention. But when we see it unfold, then you realize like, oh, this is what I should have been doing. And I want people to tap into that thought process, you know, especially if you want to move here. Like, one, do it the right way, just saying, do it the right way, but also trust in yourself, trust that there's something you have to offer that is passionate and actually can, you know, can provide.
Yes.
Mhm. So my
Yeah.
friend, I'm going to skedaddle. Not, I mean, this is kind of one of my shorter interviews,
No, that's fine.
but it's just because of circumstances at the moment. But yes, thank you so much. Be sure you guys to check her page out. Thank you again for sharing your story and your journey. It's beautiful, absolutely amazing. I'm really looking forward to our gathering next week and others in the future, and your retreats. Everything that you're doing, I know will be successful. And you guys, if you're interested in this work, please be sure to click on the link below in the description box. Feel free to reach out to Chereese and find out more about her retreats. And yeah, just be supportive if this is something you feel you need. Like, come on down to Queretaro if you're not here already in Mexico. If you are, fly on over to our neck of the woods. If you're somewhere else, it's a beautiful place. No, we're not by the beach, but the mountains, they give you life. They give you life. Yeah, there's hot springs and it's just amazing. So really and truly, like, it's worth being a part of this experience if you can make it. Thank you there, my friend. Anything
Thank you,
else you want to
Michelle.
share?
It's been a pleasure. No, I mean, feel free to connect with me on my website, as I said, soulmirrorwellness.com. I'm also on Instagram at Space to Reflect. And also feel free to check out my ebook, my free ebook, which I hope is very helpful for everyone looking to tap back into their intuitive power. But ultimately, I'm here to serve. You know, I'm here to serve by showing up authentically on this earth. And my encouragement to anyone who is watching this is really think about what does it mean to be authentic to your soul's desires, and how can you slightly start to shift your life towards more and more authenticity. It may not be easy, but trust me, it really is worth it.
Absolutely. And how do they get the ebook?
So the ebook you can get through the link on my Instagram page or on my website.
Okay. Okay. So we'll make sure everything's in the description. So you guys have any questions, you can click there and feel free to send me a message if you have any questions. I offer consultations for those who want to relocate to Mexico or just figure out how to get to San Miguel de Allende, which is this place where I live. I love it here. And if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to subscribe and like. And feel free to ask comments. I try to check them as often as possible and personally write everyone back, just saying. All right, my dear, have a fantastic rest of your day, and you guys as well. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.